Hello, hello. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us at the webinar. My name is Hjelt and I'm your host today. And this is Samuli Isomäki, our demand generation specialist, who is answering to all my tricky questions today. And this is the first webinar on our series, Make a Buzz. This is part one. So I will go to the presentation mode now, so you won't see us, but you will see the presentation. Enjoy. This webinar will last around 40 minutes, and we will go through topics around demand generation, because nowadays one of the biggest challenges for businesses operating in crowded markets is demand generation. So in this webinar we will cover in questions like what demand generation is and how it's different from lead generation, elements of good strategy, and what are the steps in undertaking a demand generation campaign. And of course, how to avoid the most common mistakes and some practical tips to follow when creating demand generation campaigns. So by the end of the webinar, you will know exactly what you need to do to get people excited about your products and keep those qualified leads rolling in. But before we start, some practical info. You can post your questions to the YouTube comment sections throughout the webinar, but please note that you need to log into your YouTube in required before you can write to the comment section. So log in now. So now we can start. So Samuli, are you ready for the first question?
Let's hope so.
So, demand generation and traditional lead generation might seem very similar, but there is actually an important distinction between the two. So, what is the difference between demand generation and lead generation?
Well, Nana, that's a really good question and that we get a lot. If we think about demand generation, it's a marketing process that aims to create a continuous flow of stimulus to motivate customers not only to buy your products or services, but it also aims to increase their loyalty after the purchase. So we try to get new customers, but also retain the existing ones. While lead generation focuses solely to generating leads, and it's all about turning interested people into names and contact details. So demand generation is quite self-explanatory. It tries to get leads for marketing or sales. When demand generation is the whole pipeline from attracting new customers to retaining and increasing their loyalty. If we look more into the detail, the demonstration pipeline, it can be divided into three sections. The first part is the top of the funnel, which is the lead generation part, where we raise awareness and turn it into interest. A good tactics for this part are, for example, content marketing, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, using social media organically or paid, and so on. The second part of this funnel is middle of the funnel, and this is where we nurture the leads and try to turn the interest into consideration. And good tactics for the middle of the funnel are search engine optimization, of course content marketing, remarketing, and the king of them all, marketing automation, which helps to nurture those leads. And thirdly, there is bottom of the funnel, and this is where we convert the leads into customers and also retain the customers and increase their loyalty. Or as we call it, we create customer happiness. And good tactics for this bottom of the funnel are marketing automation, email marketing, social media marketing, and so on.
So basically, demand generation is actually when we are guiding all customers to the actual purchase and beyond. And lead generation is when you're turning interest into names and contact details.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the second question. When marketer sets out to create demand generation strategy, a broad perspective is required. So what are the elements of good strategy when it comes to generating demand?
Yes. When we think of a good strategy for demand generation, it should always be created for the long run. And the strategy should bind all your marketing efforts together as a whole. And the set strategy works as an anchor for all your marketing efforts, whether it's a larger campaign with multi platforms or just one little individual campaign in Instagram, for example. Second, always set goals. All your marketing campaigns should serve the top level strategy, but you should always determine goals to measure all the campaigns as a whole, so you have an understanding what is the big picture and what is happening. Of course, it's important to measure every campaign, but you should always be able to analyze and cross-reference those in big picture. And thirdly, data, data, data. All your decisions should always be based on knowledge instead of guesswork. And this is why it's important to use the data from all your marketing channels to gather insights about your campaigns, prospects, and customers. And by integrating the data from all your marketing platforms, you can cross compare it. And at some point, you will be able to maybe take the next step and harness the data for predictive marketing. And that's where the magic starts to happen. And fourthly, but not leastly, is the ownership. And what I mean by this is that there should always be one person who is in charge of all the marketing effort. A product owner, coordinator, well, maybe a dictator. That person should make sure all that the marketing activities are planned ahead and serves the overall strategy. Also, this person should avoid all the ad hoc activities that do not serve the big picture, because there will always be noise from different departments, from product managers, and of course sales personnel asking for individual marketing campaigns to serve their purpose. So in these situations, the product owner should always make sure that all the marketing efforts truly serves the top level strategy and the big picture. So set your strategy, determine your goals, use data to back up the decision making, and always be consistent.
Okay, so after you have a good strategy, what are the steps in undertaking a demand generation campaign?
Yes. Well, it doesn't matter whether it's the whole marketing or just individual marketing campaigns. You should always follow certain procedure and process. And for us in IDBBN, it looks like this. The first step is really important. That's where we are making sense what we are doing. Where are we now? We plan where we are heading and where we want to end up. We need to understand what's the current situation, what are our goals. We determine KPIs and to help our measuring. And in this space, we can do possible audits for marketing accounts or websites and so on. The next phase is preparation, and this is the phase that enables measuring and gathering of the data. So here we set up analytics. We set the measuring and conversion points that work as our KPI, and we set up reporting. And this is the phase that for our customers in IDBPN is almost invisible, but it's really important work that we do behind the scenes to make it possible to gather that data and use that knowledge for the decisions and optimization and so on. The third phase, launch, well, this is quite self-explanatory. This is where we launch our search engine marketing campaigns. We start doing search engine optimization. We use YouTube organically or as paid. We can use social media marketing, organic social media, programmatic buying, and so on. This is, for me at least, I think this is the easiest part. It's always quite easy to launch a campaign when you have prepared it well and you have a good plan and strategy to follow on. So this is the easy part. I think one of the most important things is the part 4, which is the acceleration, which makes the magic happen. This is when we start our remarketing campaigns. We can use email marketing, launch those marketing automation programs to nurture the leads. We send reports for different stakeholders. We use dashboards to visualize the data gathered to help decision making. We do campaign optimization, which is always important. The first version is always a first version. It's like a minimum viable version, and this is when we make it really work. This is where we start getting those leads. We start selling and so on. On the first acceleration phase, we can also do marketing, landing page optimization, website optimization, of course, user experience optimization to give the users good feel about what they are receiving. And we can, of course, on the phase 4 start using lead scoring and personalize the messages for different buyer personas and maybe launch those kick-ass predictive marketing campaigns.
Okay, we are now on the 4 questions, and no one likes to do a mistake, at least not me. So how can we avoid the most common mistakes?
Yes, that's a really good question. This is a little bit of repetition because it's so important, but always follow your set strategy. Following your strategy is the only thing that will keep you on track towards those set goals. And if you don't follow your strategy, you are not going to meet those goals. That's for sure. Secondly, always measure your results. Always. Otherwise, you will have to rely on guesswork. And by measuring every possible marketing efforts, it will provide you more data with valuable insights. I'm repeating myself here and I do it again. Data, data, data. Collect your data and take advantage of it. Data is the only thing that makes it possible to use facts instead of that gut feeling when you're doing the decisions. So set up that tracking for every campaign. And fourth but not least, aim for simplicity. As they say, keep it simple. That's because nowadays people have very short span of attention, so this is why it's important to steer people the right direction, tell them what we are waiting for them to do, whether it's an ad, email, landing pages, and so on. You should always avoid unnecessary distractions and increase the clarity and relevance. Let me give you another example. If you have a landing page where you are trying to collect leads with a form, make sure that the users understand what is expected from them. Lose all the distracting elements, nothing extra. Just add clear value proposition, use call to actions. For example, if we at IDBPN want to get leads who are interested in marketing automation, we could create a landing page that on top of it have a clear value proposition telling the users why they should get our ebook. After that, a really clear call to action, for example, download our marketing automation ebook and triple your sales. And under that form, of course, to collect those names and emails. Leave all other elements off if they are not relevant. No social media sharing, no nothing, because it will distract them from the one main purpose of the page, which is getting that email or contact. Of course, in the long run, it's important to redeem those value propositions, so don't make any promises you cannot keep. So if you cannot triple the sales, don't tell it.
Okay, and now we are on the fifth and the last questions. We know that good content is your secret weapon when creating campaigns, but what are your 4 practical tips that marketers could follow when they are creating demand generation campaigns? Whoppa!
Those were quick tips.
Yeah, that was really, really quick.
Unfortunately, I'm not that quick talker, so
Sorry.
yes. Well, these practical tips are more or less based on data. I bet this part it's quite obvious that we love our data, so here we go. Firstly, you have set your strategy and you have determined your goals and you have measured all earlier campaigns, and well, now you can start making use of that. When you are planning new campaigns, use the insight gathered from earlier campaigns and use those as a benchmark. Your data might show you that the certain audiences are using Instagram instead of LinkedIn, or your landing page should always have the call to action button right in the top portion instead of bottom, and setting it up on the top portion might double your conversion rate. Really important part, always optimize your campaigns. As I said, launching a campaign it's the easy part, and the most important part is that you analyze how your campaigns are performing and make changes if needed. For example, you might notice that some of your ads are performing poorly, so you should make new ads based on your best performing ads and use those to replace those bad performing ones. Or like happened for us in one campaign, you might suddenly notice that your Facebook campaign is getting tons of clicks and it's outperforming all the other campaigns ever in measures of traffic. And after you have a quick look in analytics and try to understand what is happening, you realize that all those clicks are generated by Indian bots. So at this point, it's quite obvious that you should exclude all those bots from the marketing campaign.
No one likes bots.
Nope.
No.
And A/B testing, it's really important, and you should always test your materials against itself. The most simple form of A/B testing is using multiple ads with just small variations, so you can see which ad is performing the best. For example, in Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, you should always create ads with different copy and have at least 2 different ad versions. This is because then you can measure which is working best and you don't all burn out those ads too soon. At IDBBN, we usually use 4 or more ad versions every time, and after there is enough data, we just stop the ones that are not performing and replace with new ones that are quite close variations to ads that are performing well. So this way we can always optimize the campaign to work even better. It's still important to remember that the past performance might not work in the future, so campaigns might not work well every time. So keep testing and be creative, and you have to be persistent because after all, there are no magic bullets.
Okay. Thank you, Samuli, for answering these questions around demand generation. Now we are ready for questions and answers. So let's see, do we have any questions from our listeners? And Tina,
Hello. Yes, we actually have a question at our YouTube chat, and it is that Hannes has asked if I campaign on platforms such as Facebook, LinkedIn, or Google, what's the best way to catch all the people I reach and either combine them or use the audience of one platform on the other ones or in the future? And I think Samuli could have some answers about this audience creation.
Yes, well, Hannes, thank you for the question. One way this could be done, and I recommend it doing for every campaign in social media platforms, is that you use the UTM tagging, so which is urgent tracking modules. So with this, you can always recognize from which platform the traffic and audience is coming, from which campaign are they coming, and you can also recognize them on ad level. So you know that person number A came from LinkedIn, from traffic generation campaign with ad where is a dog and man running. So you can recognize all the traffic, and you can combine these traffics in Google Analytics and use those as an audience, for example, for remarketing. One nice trick is to use your CRM or marketing automation data and use it as an seed audience in Facebook or LinkedIn or Google. And if that seed audience is too small, you can make a lookalike version it and use that instead of the seed one. And those algorithms are working really good, and the lookalike audiences work for us really well. So there's 2 simple tricks you can try.
okay. And then we have a second question from Sofia Salmi. Any B2B references case out of successful demand generation? We have cases, and but they are kind of we have to ask if we can show them live later on. So if you are interested in cases and if you want to know more, you can read our blog, and of course we can ask some references what we can send out to you. Any more questions? No? So, thank you for joining us this morning, and we would love to hear from you how we did today, so please give us feedback. You will receive an email from us shortly. There is a link to a feedback form, and it takes no more than 3 minutes to tap the answers and submit the form back to us. Your feedback is highly valued. And all the submitted forms will participate in a prize draw on 11th of September, and the winner gets an Amazon gift card valued 20 euros. But before we are ending, I would like to tell a little about IDBBN and what we are doing. And as a company, IDBBN are driving success in the following fields. There's synchronized MarTech, energized programs, purchase with content, and predictive marketing. And if you have any questions, we would love to tell you more and answer on those questions. And here are some of our clients which we are working with. And yes, contact us, call us or email us, and we will more than love to tell more about demand generation and how we can help you with it. And remember, next webinar is coming up soon. It's the second one from the series and is on the 24th of September. And Samuli, you will be the host next time. So what are we talking about?
Yes, we are going to talk about search engine optimization in 2019, and I'm having the talk with Henrik Lagerkrantz. So we are discussing what are the search engine optimization tactics relevant in 2019, how to integrate this SEO into your everyday processes. You will also be hearing about the latest updates on ever-changing algorithms and generally what SEO means in 2019. So really good information.
Thank you. And to all of you listeners, don't forget to sign in for the next webinar. And thank you for joining us today. And from my side is bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.